on the Texas A&M Sports Network. From Learfield, welcome to the Coach Jimbo Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. Also brought to you in part by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. And by Bud Light. It's for the fans. Now, welcome to the Coach Jimbo Show.
Howdy, and welcome to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It is presented by Capital Farm Credit. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road in College Station, as we are every week, to talk Aggie football with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher. I'm Andrew Monaco. So glad that you are with us. Whether you're listening on the Texas A&M Sports Network, whether you are streaming and watching on the Texas A&M Football Facebook page, we already see you checking in. Thank you for doing that. We're listening on the 12th Man mobile app. We will review the Aggies' 44-14 win over South Carolina last Saturday at Kyle Field. The Aggies enter the week ranked number 14 as they prepare for Auburn in 2 Saturdays. It is a bye week, so we'll see what the Aggies are doing this week and then preparing next week for those Auburn Tigers. We'll also get your questions that you have dropped off here at Rudy's, and we'll take a look at those questions that you're sending in on Facebook as well. And we'll also take a look at how recruiting has been affected by the atmosphere at Kyle Field with the 12th man in the last couple of home games. All that, your questions, and the head coach, Jimbo Fisher. That's all straight ahead. It's the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, and it is presented by Capital Farm Credit. Jimbo's next. This is Aggie Football from Learfield.
Heating and Cooling, proud to be the official heating and cooling provider for Aggie Athletics, earning your seal of approval since 1979. A lot has changed since then, but our pride in Aggie football and our commitment to providing great service remains as strong as ever. Gig 'em, Aggies! This is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit, along with the head coach, Jimbo Fisher. 14th ranked Texas A&M, coming off the 44-14 win over South Carolina. As I was saying, normally I get all my talking points on Monday, no media availability. So can you tell us what you saw after you broke down the film after Saturday night's win?
I saw a team come out ready to play. I think we affected the game in all three phases very well. Thought our line, both lines of scrimmage, our defensive line was outstanding in the game. I mean, the guys up front from Peavy to Clemens, Leal, Tyree was player of the week, McKinley Jackson. It goes on and on. There was a bunch of guys playing. They did a great job. The offensive line was very dominant. After the first drive, we didn't score, had to turn over, but then we scored 6 straight. Then had an off, then scored another 7. I scored 7 out of the first 9. So we're controlling the ball, getting 3 and outs. Defense was just stymieing them. I mean, never had a third down conversion till, I think, fourth quarter or late in the third or whatever it was. Complained. Then we hit the punt return right off the bat for a touchdown. Unfortunately, we had a block kick on one. We hit one a little low. But other than that, I thought we did an outstanding job in the game. I thought one of the more complete games we played. Loved the way we started. And the 3 quarters, we finished the game off, come out in the first half, scored beginning of the second half, and controlled things. I wish we young guys would have played a little better. We'd execute a little better on offense and defense. Wasn't as happy with that, but they got to get out there and see what it's like, and they're going to be good players. So we'll keep getting those guys in, and just got to continue to get better. But it was a pretty solid performance.
You said just because you were home, don't expect that to be your energy. Bring that energy. The defense did that, and then boom, there's a nice 95-yard return. That's energy there. It
was big. It was right off the bat, and then they got another 3 and out, and then we drove and scored, got it back, drove and scored. They snapped the ball bad, scored. Then we took a 90-some-yard drive and ate the whole last 6 minutes of the half on a score before the half, then come out and scored again. They scored, then we scored again. It was just, both sides we were executing very well.
You know how happy I am for your captains to win another coin toss?
Yeah, it does.
They get to stay out there,
right? They're getting better. They may keep their job another week.
I asked you before, can you have a trap game off a trap game? But when you play like that, you take that right off the table.
Well, you do, and you can. Here's what you know: any game can be a trap game. Today's time with the distractions in it, there's so much more clutter than there's ever been for kids and reasons to do things, and then they get strung from they got class and all that, and then they got in-and-out deals, they got this, they can get distracted very, very easily and then come off the main thing. And you hear a lot of teams when they don't have their performances. It's funny. Listen to the press conference after and listen to the kids talk. We got to get back where football's number one. You say, how's football not number one? Understand something. There's a boatload of things that kids are doing now because of the new rules and the new thing that distract from football. And I think that's one of the reasons you're seeing the ups and downs of things across this country. They're learning to manage that part of it.
You've always said it is a choice to be a student athlete, not just a football player,
Exactly
right? Any
right.
student athletes.
It's a choice, and you got to make the right choice, and you got to learn to prioritize now more than you ever have in your life. And but they're 18 to 22, and they're learning how to juggle. When you become pros, you can't juggle it, and it's a learning curve for them right now. They'll get through it.
You have talked time and again, especially in these 3 wins, about the Monday through Friday has been so much better. The detail.
We're learning to be. We're learning to be. And in yesterday's practice, I was happy but not real happy. And today was a lot better, and even in the off week. I mean, you got to create habits. You got to create situations where you put yourself in position to be successful because of how you can practice, knowing what you know, how to do it, the way to do it, and it just becomes habits, and that's what it's all about.
8 weeks and then a bye. Your team had a chance to look past South Carolina to the bye, but it didn't. Is that another step in growing up?
I mean, it is. I mean, you have to do those things, and you got to be. My term is you got to be where your feet are. Where your feet are is what matters. You got to be doing what you're doing at that present time. There's nothing else you can be doing. And the more you're distracted from that, if there's a problem somewhere else, guess what? Now you got 2 problems because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing where you're at. And that's learning to prioritize. And what that is, it's called growing up. That's learning when you're a grown-up. There's multiple things that are on your plate. There's multiple issues. Nothing's ever right. When you get in charge of a family, and then when you got a job, you got to tell me when something's ever right. There isn't something wrong somewhere, someplace, somewhere. And you got to learn to manage that. And that's part of growing up. For your true freshmen, this is important, how to take care of their body during this week as well, isn't it? You got to learn how to do it you got to learn. And, and when you're young, you think my body's invincible. It doesn't need this. It doesn't need – you have – and it's not just, all right, I get treatment on it when something's wrong. You got to have preventive. You got to learn to be preventive, and that's where the workouts and all the things come. And that's a learned behavior. But today's time, kids are much more aware of that because they're being taught that from trainers and things before they ever – everybody's got their own trainer when they're 7. You know what I mean? And they're working all the way up to where they do things and getting to that. But it's what it is. And you're big when a camp starts or a season starts, that soft tissue, it's not right into it. It's kind of a little bit. Well, you got to bridge into it and what your summer is and how you got to go into things. And you got to manage the soft tissue injuries. And there's going to be enough of the physical bumps and bruises, but you got to learn to manage that. And what they got to learn to manage is learn to be 100% when they're 80%. Because you're never 100%. Once the season starts, there's something wrong with you all the time. And if you think, well, I'm going to wait and play, well, then you ain't playing football. You need to go play something else. And what you find out and everything else, there's always something. I mean, and that's the other part of these young kids. They got to learn they got to be 100% when they're 80%. Yep. It is the bye week. Aggies are off this Saturday, but they are ranked at number 14, and they will be back at it next week. But we've got much more of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It is presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. The new Brookshire Brothers across from Kyle Field was built for Aggies. There's a bar serving coffee, wine, and beer, a full-service pharmacy, and great values on groceries. You'll love the grab-and-go meals. Only at Brookshire Brothers. So much more than a grocery store. They are checking in from South Korea, where it is 10 in the morning. Says that is Tyler. Tyler's in South Korea. They're checking in. It's not just the Constantinu family. Someone else has checked in from Melbourne, Australia. Craig is on call at the hospital, but he can't miss Jimbo, he says. Glenn says, make sure Jimbo talks real fast because the Astros are playing right now. I know, I'm watching. We might end up just talking about basketball. About the baseball. I got a basketball question here, too. Somebody from New Braunfels, a former Jazz ball boy, his dad wants to know your top 5 NBA players. And I forgot to send back, I know Jordan is number 1 when it comes to that. I mean, that's a debatable deal now. I mean, it's a real debatable. I mean, you got the Jordan world. People don't understand how good Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you go back to high school, now the more dominant college player in the history of the game. 6 NBA titles, what he did and where he was. See, I mean, during my era, I go back to Magic and Bird. Mm-hmm. I mean, how they changed the game, how they saved the NBA, how their selflessness projected team in that regard. I mean, you got LeBron, who is an absolute freak. I mean, you're saying 5, but you get into Oscar, you get into I mean, there's quite a few of them. That's such a debatable time, you know what I mean? But those were guys that I was a Dr. J. When I was a little kid, I loved Dr. J. When he was such a was a mystery because in the 70s, you didn't see Dr. J in the ABAs. All of a sudden, you'd see a flash and him dunking from the foul line in 1974. It wasn't being done.
Right.
And it was such a
right.
And he comes to the NBA, and he kept the NBA going, and then Bird and Magic saved it.
Yeah.
I mean, all during the 80s. People forget, in the early 80s, you still watched the NBA Finals on tape delay.
Right. Right. You
I mean, those great games were on tape delay.
Mm-hmm.
And I would refuse not to watch and watch those games and put the competition and all that. And, I mean, Shaq, of course, I had great respect for Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah.
And that whole regime, I mean, you can't name five,
right?
In my opinion,
right.
It's because it's an opinion. When you're talking about the greatest, I mean, when I watched, to me, Jordan dominated it like no one did. Because when he played, and they compare him to everybody else, all I say this: when he played, he won. Once he got to that point where he had enough guys and they had their team, and I always say it's not what he did and how many titles he won, who he kept from winning titles. I mean, the Barkleys of the world, the Malones of the world, the Stocktons of the world. Elijah one of them probably would never won. I mean, I hate to say that. I was a huge Elijah. I mean, I had great respect for Hakeem Olajuwon. I mean, just absolute, great player. But the Patrick Ewings of the world. I mean, you can go on to Gary Payton of the world. It's just, if he was in it, he won. There wasn't none of that other stuff. So, I mean, it's great. But those are some of the ones that just jumped at me. And I was a Jerry West guy, too.
See, I was going to ask you about that.
Jerry
about
West
the
and
West.
Oscar, too, now.
Oscar Robertson, he was Mr. Triple-Double at first.
See, I always argued this. I made this argument today. I said Jerry West may have had the best basketball career of anybody that's ever, as far as how great a player he was, and arguably the greatest executive in the history of the NBA. I mean, he built the Lakers, 5 NBA titles. You forget this. He put together the Warriors. He's putting together the Clippers. When the Grizzlies had their run, he went back to be the GM of the Grizzlies when they had that little run in players and what he did. And what Jerry West did, his mind for the game, and what he did and who he was and all the things he did too was.
When you're the
amazing.
Logo,
that
says it all.
And here's the other thing: think if they had threes back then.
Oh, I'm with you.
See, you keep going all these points and all this stuff. There wasn't no threes back then.
No.
And Jerry and them guys could. I mean, they could shoot the eyeballs out of that thing now.
So the story.
And Bill Russell. I mean, you go into listen. You can argue that too. Bill Russell and Will Chamberlain too. I mean, Bill Russell. 13 years, 11 titles, and won 2 of them as a player coach.
Yeah.
Really?
And the thing about Wilt, they changed the rules to make it harder for him. Not easier.
And the lane and everything else. Well, Jabbar, they stopped dunking.
They stopped dunking.
In college basketball.
And freshmen couldn't play then.
And, that takes me to who I think Jabbar was one in college, and I think Bill Walton was two.
Yeah.
In college basketball, and you go back and watch, it's a shame Bill Walton got hurt too. People forget he won the MVP, beat Dr. J and them in the finals in 77, and then got his feet all hurt, but he still came back. Bill Walton, I remember John Wooden, the statement he made, he said, Kareem was, I was asking who was better. Kareem was, he said, was probably more dominant. He said Bill was better all the way around and everything he did. Bill Walton was a very, very underrated great player.
Man, feet injuries in the NBA is so difficult.
Those big guys.
I know Klay Thompson set a record for most points in a quarter, and I think it was
but you can't touch him.
But it was ice. But it was George Gervin said he beat my record. To your point, I didn't have threes when I was playing. So he gave the little wink saying,
Well, and here's the other thing. He wasn't getting banged. When he coming off them picks, he wasn't taking a forearm to the chest and the face. And I mean, it's a different game. And it's great because basketball is supposed to be a free-flowing game. It got to a point there, those 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
It was brutal now. Yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing. Everybody talks about Jordan having a 30-point career average. Well, you wasn't scoring but 80 or 90 when he was averaging 30. It wasn't like you're 120 like you are now.
Yeah.
It wasn't as free-flowing of a game and how things go. And I'm not against that. I mean, it's just a different style. Yeah. The numbers will always be wrong because it's not the same game.
Right. But there's no more hand check, and when you would get your hand.
Oh, when you could take a guy on those guys right there.
You could turn it. And
you could guide a guy. I mean, and Steph Curry is an absolute freak of what he does. But when them guys, and that's what a lot of those old guys are saying, when you could get up and put your hands on a guy like that and steer him, it be legal, it changes everything.
Antonio Daniels told me a story that his first game he's playing Derek Harper. He dribbles into the front court, and all of a sudden,
Harper had them big old hands.
And he just pushed him wherever Derek wanted to go. And Antonio's like, I have no idea what's happening right here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different game, man. I mean, it's a totally different game.
Yep.
But the skill level's amazing.
It is amazing. Okay, so that's because it's bye week. We went off on a little bit of a tangent. We still have questions? Yeah. How's baseball going, by the way?
5-1 Houston.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. We will have much more of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. Is presented by Capital Farm Credit. Come on back to Rudy's. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie basketball fan experience this year. Go to 12man.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets, a VIP tour of Reed Arena, and will be recognized on the video board during the game. Register today at 12man.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Missoula, Montana, Connecticut, Indiana, Chicagoland, Russell, Kansas, Tennessee, North Carolina, Terre Haute, Indiana, Chino and Danville, California. And then Brian's checked in from Clarksburg, West Virginia on Facebook.
Huh.
Yeah.
Which Brian? Brian what?
I need to go back. Give me time and I will do that. We have questions, and Wesley's up first. It's been reported recently that you enjoy hunting, particularly in Texas. What game do you enjoy hunting, and when do you find time?
Well, it's usually after the season, maybe a little bit on the off week, something like that. I love the deer hunt. We hunt hogs, all that. I love the turkey hunt. I love if it's mule deer, elk, you name it. My problem with elk is if I'm hunting elk, I'm either fired or retired. That's all in early fall. You don't ever get to do those. You know what I mean? You can find some time for deer and the hogs and all the turkey and all. I love bird hunting too. I love quail hunting. I mean, I love it all. I mean, everything. Like I say, we had the Africa trip this summer. I mean, I love going everywhere, the different adventures and hunting things. Bear hunting, I've done it all.
You got to do that with the family, right?
Yeah, I bear hunted. I mean, we'd go everywhere. We try to do as much as we can.
That's nice. That's nice. You said last year when we were doing the show from inside our studio, he likes that when it's not a great day, you always get in a better mood after you shoot at something. Right?
Yeah, or just not necessarily just so I get in the woods and see. I just like being out, just so I get out there, clear my head, and makes me.
Yeah,
sees the world a different way.
That's a great thing. That is a great thing. This is from Ian. How did your playing career prepare you for your coaching career?
That's a great point because I played quarterback, had a lot of success, but I was a little guy. So I was like, you always had to play with a chip on your shoulder. Football is a big man's game. So, but I think it did from the quarterback standpoint, from the leadership standpoint, the competitive standpoint. We won multiple conference championships. We were number one in the country, and number one offenses. I mean, we had some great seasons. And I was around Terry Bowden, who was Bobby's son, was my coach, so I got exposed to the Bowden. So I learned how to do things the right way, practice habits, preparation, how to watch film, was exposed to really good football. We did the same thing. We ran the same offense Florida State ran. So I was exposed to really good stuff at an early age from that standpoint and coached very well and had a great taste in my mouth because I learned how to compete, learned how to do things. We won. And, it kind of just I never wanted to get out of it. And I knew I was going to play as long as I could and then wanted to coach. He knew that too. Terry did too.
Terry did? And helped you?
By the way, I'll say this to them. Louisiana Monroe is having one heck of a year. They never won a game last year. He's back over, taking over, and they've already won 4 this year in a very tough league and beat some really good teams. They were a 30-point underdog, beat Liberty. And my old coach is doing a heck of a He was a really good coach, I'm telling you. The
quarterback responsibilities, being the leader on that field.
You had to run everything. Oh, without a doubt. You had to manage everything. And see, when we went to the games back then, Coach Bowden always rode. He never rode on the bus like Bobby did. Mm-hmm. He rode in a police car with his trooper. Terry did the same thing. And I wasn't allowed to ride the bus. I rode in the trooper car with him. We sat in the back seat, and I knew the game plan sideways, silly, upside down, 32 ways but silly, and I knew everybody's assignment on the field. And so when they called, if it went in, I corrected everything. Yeah. It was the linemen, whether it was receivers, whether it was tight ends, whether it was back, and I was like that. And so I was kind of like absorbed as a coach the whole time. And I was a player who was, this is what you do. Now tell me why we're doing it. I had to know the why. And that's why as a coach, and I think it helped me as a player. It helped me coach the other guys on the field and help them if something was wrong and fix it. And I think it's what led to going into coaching. But that comes from my dad and my mom. My dad always, why? He was a why guy. Don't do something. Why? Why was it wrong, but why was it right? And how your thought process, it was so big to him. I mean, everything I did. Why would you think that? Why were you thinking that? What should you be thinking? And I think it just naturally molded me that direction.
Did that with your father, instead of asking why?
I'm talking about when I was 6, 7, 8, and 9.
After, he wanted you to do the why before you made a decision, correct?
Yeah, I mean, he told me when you did it, why would you be thinking? All right, tell me why you did that. Now, what was you thinking? And then it really took me back, and I learned, to get to the result, you had to have the process back here, and your thought process allowed that turned into what you did, which then turned into the results. And I think that's where it came from.
How much autonomy did you have after the play came in, playing for Terry?
A lot.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
And the same thing, you would have to give him the why at times going over to the
sideline. Oh, yeah, it was.
Right?
And that wasn't a big check time, but he did me a lot. And then after we were together, I would. And if things come in, I would sign, every now and then we'd have a disagreement. But he did give me, but I knew it so well. And if things, and I remember when I was a freshman one time, we were in a game, and we were up by 10 or 12 or something happened. Our tailback, it was all conference tailback, and he fumbled the ball. And they got it and scored. And about 3 minutes to go, we come back in. He called another play to him. The guys in the huddle going, no. I said, all right, here we go. So I'll make something up and do it. He's over there throwing a fit. I run over the side. He said, why'd you wait? I said, because he don't want the damn ball. So I got to do something. You know what I mean? He didn't want it. And then I had to get him calmed back down, and he took off, and he was a great player. But get a couple plays to get their confidence back. And I don't know, that was always – I'll tell you this, when I was in junior high and I quarterbacked, I called every play.
Did you really?
Coach did. He did it to me. We had the offense, and we did it, and he did it. And he said, and I say that. He said, what do you want to do? I said, that. And he said, well, go ahead and just called the whole season.
Wow.
Called the whole season. We went 8-1.
Did that happen? Did that continue into high school?
Not as much. They still called him, but I took a lot of suggestions. I don't know. I don't know if coaches felt comfortable. Or I spent a lot of time with them, and I was very blessed to have good guys coaching. Coach Hilton, Coach Harvey in high school, Coach Perry when I was in junior high, Pete Perry. Like I said, he turned it all over to me.
I don't know of any junior high quarterbacks who call their own plays now.
Called them. I know we did. Called them all. Most of halftime. I did that. In junior high we lost no basketball games and one football game.
Oh, you must have been devastated after the one.
I was. That's the one I still remember.
Knowing you like I do, I knew that was
I actually had a fumble in that game. Wasn't very good. Broke a big run, got hit and fumbled.
That allowed you, and being a shortstop in baseball, right? Mm-hmm. These thinking positions.
Point guard basketball.
It's always that leader, right? For you, you gravitated to that, didn't you?
I don't know. I guess that's where they put me. That's where they put me.
And now you're trying to transfer that to Zach.
Yes,
and Haynes
and that's what I was talking about today.
While you're standing behind
that's why I'm grinding.
Practice.
I was on him today. Why you think that? You got to take steps. You need to manage yourself. And your thought processes and how you look at things and your anxiety and the body language and how people see you and the way you look, the eyes in the huddle and the eyes on the field to your teammates are the number one thing a quarterback's got to have. He's got to have confidence. He's got to exude confidence, even when you're scared to death and you don't know what's going on. You can't have that. That body language, the eyes, the mannerisms, the temperament, the competitive fire. There's got to be something there that clicks and ticks. And quarterback in so much, America's got the greatest arm, it's not about that. That's the things that's the great part of it, don't get me wrong. But the other things are every bit more important. Mm-hmm. And that competitive nature, when you get downright mean, you got to get downright mean, you got to get downright competitive, you better be a tough son of a gun. When that quarterback's tough and competitive, the whole team is.
You want Zach to come out of the huddle, look in the stands, and say, look, there's John Candy, like Joe Montana did.
No, he may stay on. He may keep talking about it for 20 minutes.
That's a good point.
No, I know it is. But, it is, because that's having the fun. You know what that is? See, that's when you get to the point. You can't be arrogant, but you got to be confident. There's confidence, and then when you're confident, you have fun. Football is a game. You can have fun while you play and work your tail off. But it's once you know the answers to the test. And you walk on the field and you know something, I'm going to cut you up. I don't know how, but I'm about to cut you up. Here comes the play, what you're going to do. I know what's going to happen, and I believe in myself. And it's not that – and like I tell guys all the time, when you're a good player, you don't have to say it. Everybody else will tell you. You know what I mean? And it's like a quarterback. When they know it, and the other guys will follow, and he's got the confidence, hey, there's Candy. Let's go take care of our business. It's not distraction. It's the confidence that Montana had. It was like Kenny Stabler when he walked over to John Madden and he goes to the post game and when they play in Baltimore Colts and threw it to Raymond Bear in that overtime game, 37-31, and so he come over and said, "Boy, the people getting their money's worth today, ain't they? But they're getting a heck of a game." He told during that 2-minute drive, Kenny walked there and said, "Boy, these people getting their money's worth today."
Yep.
Well, it's a heck of a ball game we're playing out here. Because he knew he was going to go out and make a play.
Right.
There's a confidence about things that you can. It's amazing what you can think of and how much information you can process when you know what you're doing and you're in that confidence zone of what you're doing. That's why people say, "Is it crazy? Is it hectic?" When you're prepared, no,
not at all.
It's fun,
and you forget it's a game.
You do, and you start working, man. That's when it becomes fun. That's what it's all about. That's what the coaching and the playing and all that stuff is when it gets down that end, that nitty gritty. The 2-minute drives and those 2-minute, and all those situations.
Yeah. He's Jimbo Fisher, head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. Much more of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show to come. We're presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie football from Learfield. We all know that queso practically flows through the veins of every Texan. At Costa Vida Fresh Mexican Grill, queso is their pro-style offense. Costa Vida, proud to partner with Texas A&M Athletics. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. We continue with the questions as well. Coach, how have you prepared your players to pursue a career outside of football? For example, if they wanted to pursue a career in the medical field, what advice do you give them?
Well, you better get a medical degree. You better get a medical degree. But no, we encourage all those different things, and we bring people into speakers, different kinds of speakers that have success and access them to everything humanly possible, and encourage that. I mean, like a lot of our guys in those upper level classes are missing a lot of practice time in the fall when you start getting your engineering classes, your medical classes, your high business classes, all those things. They get translated into that, and listen, that's what they're here for, and we encourage that, and that's what and teaching them how to take advantage of the 12th man and the Aggie Network, exposing them to people, letting them meet people and how it works, who to meet, and people in your field and what you have to give you job advancement and things like that. We try to create that as much as we can.
Your football lessons are also life lessons, aren't they?
It's all the same. Take the same thing in the medical field, in the business field. Here's what people find out when they get in the real world. I don't mean this in a bad way to certain folks, but the work ethic you have as an athlete, the hours and things you put in, it's like in business. I've had so many guys say, Coach, I get up at 6:37, do my business. I said, most guys in my business don't start work till 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I've already got 10 sales before they're off, and I'm out working them and out doing them. And the work ethic you have to be a great athlete, to be a great player, to be a championship level caliber player, you apply those same work ethics into whatever you're doing. It's amazing how you outwork the rest of the world. Because at the end of the day, I don't mean this in a bad way, human nature is take the easy way out and be average and not work your tail off. And
it's the difference between being good and being great.
It is. There's a small difference in those habits. And those guys, if they can apply the same work ethic, it usually puts them ahead of everybody.
Yeah, it's fascinating because I sometimes wonder that people who don't like sports don't get that part of it. And I get all
I say is just come do what they do.
Yeah.
Give yourself about a month, come do what they do.
Yeah. But that's
you
why
have a different appreciation for
that's it. That's why you appreciate the Corps Cadets. That's why you appreciate the band, right? Because
the
it's
disciplines,
working
the things
together.
you do, no matter what you do, but nobody works harder than the Corps Cadets. Nobody works harder than those guys. And the discipline, the things they do, and how they do it, and the way they do it. And nobody has more pride in what they do and selflessness to do whatever is necessary at the present time to do what needs to be done. That's the heartbeat of A&M.
Absolutely. He's head coach Jimbo Fisher. We have more of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show to come, presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie football from Learfield. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show is brought to you by Capital Farm Credit. Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. So glad that you are with us all along the network. And if you're streaming, thank you for all the questions and all the comments on Facebook as well, the Texas A&M football Facebook page. As we continue with head coach Jimbo Fisher, I wanted to ask you, with the phenomenal weeks at Kyle Field, how has that had the effect on recruits and recruiting?
Oh, man, the atmosphere and environment. I mean, like a lot of them were the Alabama game, and it was electric. They came to this game and said, Coach, I know this is not as big. I mean, they say not as big. All games are big. Don't get me on it. But it's the same. I mean, it was the same. I mean, it's been tremendous. They've loved every inch of it.
I know it's
had a huge effect.
Has it really?
Huge.
You love that.
Oh, I mean, what they're going to be playing at. It's awesome.
Right, and you've always mentioned you get 28 of these non-COVID. You get 28. It's a finite number.
Exactly right. You better maximize them.
Get a taste of that. Also, it's for all the other sports as well. Take full advantage.
Oh yeah, I hope they do.
Yeah. I know I was talking to Jim Schlossnagel, baseball coach. He's like, oh, I'm always at football. You're going to see me at basketball. Yeah. You're the same way.
Oh, I love them all.
What can I go see?
When I can see them all, I love them all. I mean, basketball, baseball, women's softball. What I don't ever get to do as much because it's in season is volleyball. And I like to watch volleyball. I really do.
That fast pace, especially
women's
now
basketball. I mean, all of it. I love track. I didn't get to track as much last year for some reason. I don't know if it's COVID or whatever. Of course, we got guys running track. I love watching track.
Yeah. That's especially with Pat Henry, right?
Yep.
The other thing is Jim Schlossnagle would be out at your practice, and he was mentioning that he likes to watch coaches coach.
Oh, yeah, you learn from everybody.
Fascinating.
Oh, like I said, one of my best friends in the world was Mike Martin. Mike Martin, the winningest baseball coach in NCAA history at Florida State. I sat right there. I mean, him and his son are best friends. And I would go to practice and in the games. I sat right there beside him in the dugout. And just watch him handle players, watch him handle situations, watch him handle big games, watch him handle the pitching and when he was upset, when he was down. Learn tons of things. Tons of things off of him. You don't win the most games in NCAA history without – you can learn from everybody.
Right. But it's not just in the moment.
Lonnie,
you have to think ahead. You have to –
Oh, Lonnie Alameda, women's softball coach at Florida State, I was very close to. Women's basketball coach, Sue. I mean, she was – I will learn from all of them. I'd watch all of them. But you're right. You're up. You're thinking ahead. You're thinking behind. You're thinking next week. You're thinking tomorrow, how to practice, how that affects it. I mean, it's ever-changing because the situations change.
I also know, take for example, Bird Coon for volleyball, and she says, I love when I get the telephone booth conversation with Jimbo. She absolutely admires and loves having that time.
I love it. We haven't gotten as much as we needed to lately because we've been busy in the COVID times, but she's awesome.
Yeah,
truly awesome.
The enthusiasm. And to make that transition from, as you were saying, you, the former player, right? She's doing the same thing.
Exactly
to be
right.
a leader.
Yes, it is. And then that's what you love about the game, the whys of the game and watching the kids grow. And teaching them how to think, teaching them how to process everybody, teaching them how to handle what comes at them.
He's Jimbo Fisher, head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, who are now ranked number 14 after beating South Carolina last Saturday, 44-14. We will come back. We've got one more segment of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, presented by Capital Farm Credit. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Football and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood, and Rudy's smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs in 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com. Now we take care of Texas. Midland, Belton, Floresville, Nederland, Katy, Smithville, Flatonia have checked in. Olga says that a happy birthday to Nick's dad, Jim, which leads me to, Coach, you talked about the Australian punts after the game on Saturday. See, I'm an old guy. You field that punt inside the 10, and in my mind I'm going, no. Everything's changed, though, in punting, hasn't it?
Because it used to be the coffin corners and you didn't do it and all that. Now these guys can deaden that ball. When they're spinning it and they're kicking that thing, it's landing at 7. If you have guys down there already on you, we teach them to catch it because they're going to get behind you and that ball's going to hit and it's going to deaden. Now you're going to get it to 1 or 2. Possibly. So, it's a whole different animal. And if you got room, you can return it out, too. So, it's totally changed. Everything's changed.
Anias drifting to the right. He had that awareness on that play and then just took off.
Well, that's what he had. And he does a great job of figuring that out. Sometimes, I always tell him that his only thing ever gets him in trouble. He tries to do too much occasionally. But he's from a great place. But his awareness, that's what makes him such a special player. And he can feel when they're close enough, when to, when not to, and make really good decisions in that regard.
Is he one of those conceptual guys also, like Kenyon? You talked about Kenyon.
Oh, yeah. He can move around, do different things. And then if I can play backfield, he can play here. He gets the whole picture.
He did. He was saying that he played a number of different positions in high school.
Did everything.
Which really helps, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, because it's not – people have physical skills to do it, but you have the mental skills and the capacity to understand and process everything that happens. And then when you learn to do that, you get a better understanding of the game. You learn what the people around you are doing, so when you're playing another position, you kind of know what they're thinking, how they're thinking. It allows you to think a different way at your position. And you don't, as I say, when you're only in one position, guys, sometimes you see the world through a straw. You see it through that position only. When you get multiple positions, you can get a wider range and appreciation for things, and you can process more information.
Staying on him, it wasn't just, I'm going to get the ball handed off to me. He accepted everything that goes into the running back, and evidenced by him blocking downfield as a wide receiver.
He's a physical guy now. He understands the game and what he has to become and what he does block and everything.
Same thing with a Jalen Preston, right? That when you get that experience and realize, okay, I may not get all these catches, but there's a reason why Isaiah and Devon are over 100 yards.
Oh, yeah. If you go back and turn our film on, our downfield blocking was extraordinary in the game.
Yeah,
it's extraordinary.
I know the one that went viral was Bryce Foster down the field on that tight end screen to Jalen Weidemeyer, and then there's
But he's allowed to run into somebody. Should have gave him the ball.
He did say he was running into air.
I was teasing. He said, because he hit almost 17 miles an hour for a lineman. I told him the other day, I said, you know, I know linemen hit 17. He said, why? I said, usually run into somebody before they can get to 17 miles an hour. But it was funny because, well, here's what's changed, though, in those screens. You can't cut downfield anymore. You used to be able to, when you were downfield, you could cut as a lineman. So they would see those guys, and we tell them throw and roll and then create space in the lane. Well, now you can't do that, and then you slow down, and the guy runs up your back, and it's a different deal on those screens now. So they would teach them, try to stay as straight as you can, run through guys, and if you try to take a shot at them but make them get out of the way, that time they didn't get over, and then Jalen made that guy miss, but he was clean. You know, the guy didn't get over and get in front of him either. No. So, I mean, you know, it's different on those guys downfield on screens now than it used to be in old football. And I don't like it. I think it's bad for the game.
And I think on the punt return, Adrian Cooper getting out in front of Anais Smith. I love that when they do that for one another.
And I had nothing against Anais. If they got in a race, I ain't sure. Adrian can fly now. Adrian can fly.
You said in the spring he's a pull the pin guy.
He is. Now, when he pulls it now, he explodes and he can accelerate. And he can really run. I mean, he can run with our skill guys.
How much more with that? I remember earlier in the year the coaches saying to him, hey, you make this mistake, it's a first down for this team. It's a touchdown in the SEC. He's really understand that, right, and grasp the gaps.
Oh, yeah. You got to grasp, where's my gap? Do my job, then go into the other things. But I will say this, some guys with his ability, sometimes that's the guys that sometimes they don't do their job perfect, but their athleticism makes up until they can figure it all out.
You got a chance to play some of some depth. We got to see that depth. They put it on, you've always said that. Put it on tape. Put it on film so you get to learn from it.
Well, and it's different when you get in the game, too. You always, I tell them, you always complain when I'm not going to play when I play. When you get out there, say, oh, whoa. I'm getting my butt chewed out. You know what I mean? It's a little bit harder. But you got to get saddle time again. You got to get them out on the field, get comfortable, and there's a lot of really good young players in there.
Brian Kennedy is the one.
Oh, yeah.
the old, oh, yeah. That's what I know.
Played with me in high school. Went to high school with me. He's actually just a cousin.
So I get to ask him if all the stories are true?
Yeah.
Yep. Halloween coming up. Yep. Enjoy. And actually, you're going to get a chance to see some recruits.
Yeah, we will. Hopefully get to see some recruits and see everybody and enjoy the weekend.
Everybody hoping that there's going to be a show next week. Why wouldn't there be? Why wouldn't there be? They make their plans. They're all here. Why wouldn't? I'm going to be here.
There's got to be a show, right?
There's got to be.
Am I missing something?
No. You signed up for them,
huh?
Right?
That's what they say. They sent me here.
Beat the hell out of bye week, will you?
That's exactly it. Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. There's an art to that. And you got to learn to get better. You got to learn to manage, practice, do things right, and get better and get in the right frame of mind to defend. Because I'm gonna tell you, listen, coming down this stretch, Auburn, Ole Miss, Prairie View, and LSU, some great tough games. I'm gonna tell you that Auburn team and them guys are playing really well right now, and Ole Miss, all those teams. So, we got a lot of great ball. And we can make a statement, but we can also we got to handle them one at a time. And it's gonna be a heck of a run.
Coach, thanks so much.
Great to be with y'all. Have a great Halloween.